contagious, infectious in some sense, in the way of people feeling somehow energized by this point of view. It's only a state of mind. In the end, it's much more, I think, a state of mind. But technology has blurred very much the lines for artists and maybe even for the audience, but mostly for the musicians to really feel energized or have ambitious ideas. Just because when things, as you said, when they're simple, you can't really. It's really hard to see through that.
Was it hard to let go? Was it hard to walk away from the studio, having had such an incredible experience full of challenges and also full of huge highs and lots of difficult situations? Was it hard to kind of let go of the record? Because a lot of people say that when they go through something as intense as this, it's almost sad when it comes to an end and you have to, head into a different phase in your life, be it promotion, touring, and otherwise.
I don't think it was hard. We worked so much on it. Even the mastering phase took so long. I think we were not sad. At the end of the making, I mean, for years, the whole album, we didn't have any perspective on it, and we thought it might finish as only one track. There was so many, one song or one, Pink Floyd kind of concept. So it was not like a big cut where you have to leave something that is... I think the whole making from the start to the end was something like a flow that at the end we knew it was finished. And we were sure, maybe more than Human After All, because Human After All was done really quickly. Random Access Memories was when it was done, we knew it was done, and we were totally and we are still validating it 100%. So it was not like it was not sad for us.
It was more a relief, I think, in some sense, because we can all agree that spending, we were over a period of 5 years, probably almost 3 years nonstop on a record is way beyond regular human sanity, So it really felt okay that we worked on this record for way too long in some sense, but that's also the way just that it took us to grab the magic, and it was always about capturing the magic. And maybe that's the difference between maybe a wizard or just a magician or illusionist. It's just that it takes time to capture those little moments of magic and to reorganize them and edit them and put them together.
Pharrell is someone that you've obviously been friends with for some time. He's talked openly about having had great experiences, knowing you on and off for years and everything else, and he's done remarkable things as a producer, and he's lent his vocals to various NERD projects and so forth. But to choose him to work with on a couple of tracks on the record, what is it about him as a vocalist, irrespective of his work as a producer, as a vocalist, because that's what he's come to the table as here, as a vocalist? What is it that you love about him?
Is this natural born performer, is elegant, is handsome, is super talented, and he has, somehow it's just an instinctive idea that we thought that he had that unexploited potential, somehow a feeling, wow, he's capable of so much. And not only he's shown it in a multitude of ways, from as a producer and as a rapper and as a singer.
Never like this.
But at the same time, never like this, and it felt good, because the idea of that record is just to say, okay, if we put all these people, all these talented people, we can convince all these people to work together with us, and in this vision, maybe all of us can do a record that can be as good as these classics albums that we all love, And we didn't think we could make it better, actually, but it felt like, okay, what is this invisible line between, the weight of the classics behind us and of so many good records from the 50s and the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, and when happened that line, and maybe that line was due to partly to evolution in technology as well, or in the music industry, where the music started to be the contemporary music that is not as vibey, not the same mojo than those classic recordings, and somehow, when his contribution to Get Lucky and Lose Yourself to Dance really, comforted us in this idea that is out there with the best performers.
When you're in your bubble, when you're sort of working on music, and every single year the same rumors seem to pop up, and it really is a huge, I think, huge testament to what you've achieved over the course of the 20 years, is that every festival season it's like, will Daft Punk play Coachella? Will they play Glastonbury? Will they return? What's going on with the music? And not a year goes by when you're away that you're not here. And I don't know if this is news to you or not, but I'm sure this information at some point, if not, how does it not get to you? Because, you know, you never fully disappear. There's always anticipation and rumor and excitement and hope that your record's going to come out. Certainly, at least for the last 3 years, I've heard rumors of the Daft Punk album.
No, we're not aware of everything, but we don't really know why. You know, I mean, it's the only thing we know is that we it was back to what we said initially. Is like we communicate our own rhythm, and we're very secretive, and we're not looking for exposure. But I mean, we found out that pretty much early down the line, you know, 15 years ago, by not wanting to do a lot of press or interviews, that journalists were starting to chase us and chase after us. So it really feels
just like the playground. It's just basically the playground, is what it is.
Probably, you know, but in
why won't you talk to us?
Yeah. I mean, there's something somehow, you know, it feels like we're like at any family dinner. There's a family member that never speaks, and when he speaks, you know, everybody listens and pay attention, and we're filled with that member, you know. So so in some sense, everybody kind of respects that person and has.
That's great, because you get to disappear, you know, as well. And how much can you really disappear? I mean, without giving it away. I mean, when you're in Los Angeles or when you're in Paris or whatever, and you're walking around and you're not on tour and you're not on the Daft Punk promo, you know, you're not doing that. Is it a very normal life? Is it just very straightforward?
Well, I took the subway to come to this interview today.
There you go.
So,
wonderful. Wonderful. Listen, you did something amazing on the last album campaign, which was when the music industry was kind of getting ready to go through a very difficult time and no one knew where dance music stood or anything stood. You made a challenging record and a great record that, you know, that I still go back and listen to, but you went and toured it as well, and you went and supported, and you took the tour to people, and you took the live show to people, and you reminded them that the new songs stand up with the old ones in context, and it was a wonderful show, and it was considered the greatest live show of that time. You've made this record now. It's a different record. There's a lot more live instrumentation, and I have to bring up the idea of touring and what your thoughts are with that. I understand that you're secretive, but have you given it thought, and what can you tell us?
We haven't really given it a thought because
lie.
Actually, no. Okay. So we've given a thought, and the idea is that we're not interested in touring right now for a few reasons. I think first, you know, we like the idea of obviously being where nobody is, you know, in a certain zone, or trying to bring something that people are not bringing, you know. So in a certain way, if you look at touring, we presented and we put out a 6 and actually 7 years ago. We felt it was a something special, something new that could shape a new kind of electronic music performance, and we're very happy to be the first one to do it. You know, so it seems now that the you know, we knew that this show was ahead of its time. It's probably time validated it, and it seems that now it's you know, many other artists have kind of caught up and are presenting
most definitely
a very ambitious show that are immersive and that are definitely creating one-of-a-kind experiences for the audience.
Why don't you go backwards? Why don't you go back and literally get it back to you know, the sparkly curtain and just bring it all out, man? No, I
feel the main thing though is this thing. It feels also right now, when we think about it, that the lacking life in the recordings that we're just speaking about, you know, the fact of those magical recordings that were full of life, and right now a lot of electronic recordings that are just like this kind of bounce to disc a piece of data, you know, that a lot of this life right now is happening on stage and in festivals and in concerts, and where, you know, people are somehow much more excited by live experience that by the records themselves, you know, and there used to be a time where it was really pretty much the opposite, you know, at the time of really classic albums where, you know, 30 years ago, maybe even less, you would have those classic crazy albums, and then you would go to see a show and you would hope for the show to be maybe as good or half as good as the recording itself. Right now we just spent 5 years working on this record, trying to bring life back to the art of recording, you know, which is something quite technical, but the idea is that okay, we worked with all these people, all these performers, and really try to deliver a piece of recorded audio that has a lot of life into it, and it's still part of the experiment. You know, the experiment was, okay, can we actually make the music?
Yeah.
That's the first thing.
Then can we get it out?
Can we get it out? That's the second. And then once it's out, can it recontextualize somehow the value of recorded music as being something quite magical or mystical or elevated in the way that, you know, some Pink Floyd albums or Led Zeppelin albums or Stevie Wonder albums were really this you know, recorded audio adds somehow some kind of value. And today the value is definitely in the hands of the performers. It's on stage. It's you've got definitely something, as you said, you know, the show that we did on with the Pyramid 6 years ago, the idea even for electronic music was this idea of bigger than life, of trying to create a spectacle. Is there still a chance today for the spectacle to be a piece of recorded audio? That's the question. This is our experiment. This is our we're opening up our lab to the entire planet, and we just don't want to go on tour right now because that would kind of separate or kind of make an early stop to the experiment that is somehow ongoing for us.
Yes, and more enjoyable for you to relish and enjoy this, breathe a little bit, work out how it can be done, if it's going to be done, and where it's going to go. And I think, you know, again, it's like you just said, it's an extension of the whole experience so far, as opposed to, we need to all of a sudden take what's been this bubble experience and somehow now shoehorn it into the expected way of doing things.
But it's really interactive as well. You know, I feel we you know, there's a lot of questions about the future of music and where it's going, the music industry, just the musical genre, the future of electronic music. We like to answer any kind of questions with a question of our own. The music we're making somehow is a question. If you take, you know, what happened when we released 15 seconds of the Get Lucky about 6 or 8 weeks ago, and see how people had spontaneously the idea of looping it together, creating this kind of 1 hour loop or all these other remixes or creating this infinite loops. It's interesting, you know, people just invented the concept of samples from the future, you know, of sampling the future where you sample the past. This is not something we came up with. We just put out 15 seconds and you have a certain drive and creativity of people experimenting with that, and that's exactly what we feel is interesting right now, is to somehow create a series of circumstances where people can take what we're giving them and create things on their own too, you know. And that's and because we feel we've been always inspired by people creating things, and if we can inspire the same way some people, it's interesting because it really feels like out of these interaction and experiments some new concepts can emerge, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you are doing it in real time. You know, even though you've taken a huge amount of time to make this record and get it right, the way that it's actually been delivered has been kind of this exercise in control, and very much against the grain as well, as you talked about going anti-clockwise. A lot of people now like to just drop records on people. Surprise, hi, I've made an album. Surprise, no leak, no nothing, just go. And you guys have actually given us what I would consider to be, you know, quite a traditional lead-up time. You know, in unique ways, very, very much your own way, but there's been a lot of excitement building for time on this, you know.
I think we can answer you in really short time because I think it's going to be the end quite soon.
Sure.
Yes, I mean, you know...
we don't even have to answer that question because you know what? You've been more than great with your time.
Yeah.
But I've really enjoyed catching up at last, and thank you so much, and appreciate everything that, you know, you've said to us today, and have a really, really good evening in Paris, and I look forward to seeing you at some point when the time is right.
Thank you very much, Zane.
Thank you, Guima.
Thank you, bye.